board meeting to order. I have looked around, we do have a quorum present. Thank you, Commissioner Zappel. And first thing on our agenda today will be to excuse Mr. Porter, Mr. Hackney, Dr. Cannon, and Commissioner Barfield.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and next on the agenda is the adoption of our agenda. A motion to approve the
So
adoption.
moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now the approval of the minutes. In Mr. Hackney's absence, the minutes from our meeting on January 12th are in your packet. Any additions, deletions, changes to those minutes? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, public comments. Ms. Pope?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll move on to our consent agenda. There are 5 items on our consent agenda that you've obviously reviewed by this point.
Hey, there's just, I'll unexcuse that excuse.
So the 5 items on our consent agenda, any questions?
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that brings us to new business in our administrative reports.
Mr. Barfield is here. He just
All
logged
right,
in.
good. First on that is our attorney's report, Ms. Miles.
I do not have anything today, but we do need to go into closed session to discuss an economic incentive situation with an industry moving to town, possibly moving to town.
All right. Executive Director's report, Mr. Walbert.
In your packet are the key indicators report, the environmental report, and the safety report. Staff stands ready to discuss any of those items with you.
Ken, just one quick question is on the, on page 64 of my packet, the turnover and vacancy rate. I noticed we saw a pretty good spike in the vacancy rate, employees. Is there, oh, we're smiling, so
Oh,
we
yes.
anticipated there was something coming in, right?
Yes, sir. And I think that was important to bring up. Thank you for that, sir.
Sure.
We have Ms. McCoy, our HR director here. Would you like to share some of your thoughts on that?
Sure. Good morning. So we've certainly seen, we're not immune to the labor market, which is.
You may want to mic, yeah.
Thank you.
Keep forgetting we're online, aren't we? Okay,
Oh.
okay. So we're not immune necessarily to the labor market. So as you know, the unemployment rate in North Carolina is just over 3%, and Wilmington is actually just under 3%. So we're continuing to see that as here. Most of those positions that you'll see where that vacancy rate are going up are entry-level, staff-level positions, things like construction workers, customer service, call center advocates, things like that, are most of what you're seeing there on that, where we're seeing that higher rate of turnover.
Do we anticipate to see that drop coming next month, or will this continue as a trend?
So hard to say. I do think that like a number of those positions we've actually just recently filled in the last 2 weeks. So I do think you'll see probably a little bit of a decrease next month. Now, whether we're going to see that over the longer term with the market the way it is, I would tell you it's a little more volatile. So I would expect maybe to see that a little bit going forward for a while. But we are addressing, and we'll probably have forward as we're working through what our compensation structure recommendations will be for next budget cycle. We're working on that now.
Thanks.
You may recall, one of the first things that I noticed when I joined our organization is we had aspects of our organization departments that had as much as 42% turnover in the previous 12-month period. So we'll need to analyze that and perhaps address some of those drivers in our budgetary proposals.
You know, when the labor pool gets down to 3%, there's a certain percentage throughout the country that, I mean, you can get down to 2% and there is no labor pool, and we're approaching that. So, and there's reasons why people leave and go. You know, entry-level people will leave and go somewhere else for $1,000 extra a year, and I understand that. So, it's not that we're doing anything bad at CFPUA, it's just the nature of the beast.
we're seeing in our industry also, so.
Yeah, thanks.
I also have a requested action item. We would like to bring forward a proposal to add a new full-time position. This would be a deputy chief financial officer. We shared this information with our executive committee this year. The current CFO is doing a fantastic job, but we have added to his individual responsibilities, and with grants and new funding resources coming into the organization, those responsibilities have only grown. And I've also noticed he has a very capable staff, but still there is something of a skill competency gap between his position and some of his immediate reports. So, and it's always possible that our CFO could win the lottery one day. And it would be very difficult to replace his competency and skill set. So we'd like to propose a mid-year addition of a full-time equivalent deputy CFO. We do have appropriate funding in this year's budget to cover salaries and benefits. Are there any questions? So our request, we would cast a very wide net within the state, certainly.
I think John would be key in identifying that position, so.
Oh, and like the deputy general counsel position, we would like a person from the board to sit in on this high-level interview process. This is such an important position. We feel like our policymakers need to have a voice. So our request is confirmation that we could add the full-time position.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
I think both we and John won the lottery the day he started work. So hopefully that will be satisfactory.
It's Valentine's Day.
Ms. Pope, make sure that gets in a minute.
Writing it down verbatim.
And that's it for the executive director's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. All right, we will move on to our committee reports. Executive committee met on February 2nd, 2022. Those minutes are in your packet. There's no questions. We can move on to long-range planning committee. Mr. Sneeden.
Yes, the minutes of the January 27th meeting are in your packet. We had two items that we thought merited the attention of or informing the full board, and so Carl, I think you've got presentations for those.
Just on the second one.
Okay.
Good morning. At the January 27 Long Range Planning Committee meeting, we presented this particular presentation about our drivers and funding opportunities for the upcoming capital improvement plan. And that presentation is obviously in your packet. What I wanted to discuss with you today is, following our meeting with Long Range Planning, was to cover how to allocate the $30 million that was appropriated in the state budget for CFPUA for water and sewer infrastructure. We received communication from the state on that in December. There is an application process for that. Those applications are due essentially now. They were due last week. We asked for a few extra days in order to brief the board on this. But we do have to apply for that appropriation, even though it's already dedicated to CFPUA, but they still like to know, well, what are you going to spend it on? So we reviewed our portfolio of projects as part of that, and we identified two options that we'd like to discuss with you today. And if I skip down here real fast. So we have two options. The first option is to fully fund capacity expansion projects in the northern parts of our service area, specifically to serve areas in the Greenview Ranches area, the Sidbury Road area, and the Holly Shelter Road area. As we have discussed a few meetings back, this is one of our fastest growing areas. We are receiving applications for water and sewer permits that are exceeding our 2030 projections at this point. So that was the first option, and then the second option was to do replacement of aging infrastructure for part of it, about $10 million, and then $20 million do some of those expansion projects. So it would be a little bit of a blend of the two. Both options are in partnership with either New Hanover County or with the city. So there is coordination and partnership with our with the city and the county on those. For option one, to invest in the capacity expansion involves 4 projects, and some of those we have discussed at this meeting before. It's a new regional pump station in the vicinity of North Carr Avenue and Bavaria Lane with a new force main going all the way to the Northside Wastewater Treatment Plant. A replacement force main from along North College from Bavaria all the way to past Parmalee Road. And that particular force main will then have interconnections with Sidbury Road. It will have interconnections with the Greenview Ranches area, which is the $1.8 million project. And then finally, an upgrade at one of our existing pump stations to receive the flow from the Holly Shelter area. So what this will do is provide the backbone of receiving flow, wastewater flow, from this large growth area. Along with that would be projects that others would do, including New Hanover County, to make it a complete system. Right now we have a developer already doing an extension along Sidbury Road that's under construction. That was in your weekly update last week. So it is all part of a complete system, but this is the backbone in order to receive that flow. The second option was to do part of that, and that part would have been the southern part, the $20 million project of the regional pump station force main. But with that, also then do $10 million worth of aging infrastructure upgrade within the city. The one project that we have identified in working with city staff is upgrade of water and sewer infrastructure along Chestnut and Grace from 3rd all the way to 17th Street. The city is doing a street improvement project on that. We always like to do construction coordination with them. So before they put all new asphalt over top of the road, we'll upgrade the water and sewer infrastructure. The city upgrades the stormwater infrastructure, and the final product is a new road. So that would have been the second option, and again, that would be in coordination with the city. Now, staff's recommendation at this point that we presented to long-range planning is option one, and the reasons for that are outlined on the slide. Obviously, this is a very large initiative. It is an expansion project that enables other initiatives like workforce development and community growth by others. But it is also important to point out that the funding that we're receiving are ARPA funding. And why that is important is that ARPA funding can be used for capacity projects, as opposed to all the other funding that's coming from the bipartisan infrastructure bill. All that funding over the next 5 years cannot be used on capacity projects. It can only be used on aging infrastructure projects. So we thought this was a very good candidate for capacity projects. Obviously, it enhances our system operation and reduces risk because we have concerns about our force main along North College Road. It will be done hopefully in conjunction with New Hanover County funding certain water and sewer extensions. And then obviously growth is important to us because growth spreads our future fixed cost over a larger customer base. which benefits all customers. And then lastly, the investment will leverage, the collection of system development charges as growth occurs in these new areas. Now, if the board supports this recommendation, we would still continue with aging infrastructure replacement like we have always done as part of our normal capital improvement planning. Right now in our CIP, there is already a significant portion allocated to aging infrastructure replacement. And we will continue to do that. We've used grant funding for that in the past. We're just finishing up several grant funded projects. There will be other grant application or opportunities in the future, but also all the aging infrastructure work are very good and strong candidates for the additional funding that's coming from the federal government over the next 5 years. So we have very good candidates for that. And in talking to the state has indicated to us that if there is ARPA funding left over in their budget that has not been allocated, they may use that to convert some of the loans into grants or principal forgiveness.
Carl, can I ask a question? The Chestnut Grace project, I guess the key would be, can the city come along beside the CFPUA to continue to dovetail various projects?
Yes.
Because if we put off and they're ready to go, which I'm not sure. You understand what I'm?
Yes, we have been in very close communication with the city. We have been comparing schedules, and we have built in enough flexibility that, for example, if the city will go faster than us, then we will do certain parts, and then we'll use the remaining funds to do other portions within the city, or vice versa. If we can move faster than the city, we can do all of our work, and then the city can follow at their schedule.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but the bottom line is we're in very close coordination. So when we discussed this with long range planning, the recommendation was to bring this to the full board. We do like to get your approval on this recommendation for option 1, because we do need to work on our applications as soon as this meeting is over.
So Carl, option 1, it was the total 32.8?
It
Is
is.
that correct? Okay, and we would get 30 million from the state, right?
Correct.
So the 2.8 we're going to then fund out of PAYGO or something to that
Absolutely,
effect?
yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't include that big 20 million chunk that you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I might add, we would bring the $20 million project forward as part of any CIP because it's critically important to continue to meet the commitments we've already made. We're recommending option 1 because we believe we will have a partner in the county to leverage additional funding to make option 1 value add. We're not free to share how much additional funding is being suggested, but it's at least as much as we would bring to the table, probably more.
But this just frees up things that are later in the CIP that we could then bring forward to fund with our own money versus.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, this keeps ratepayers from paying for expansion.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Chair. So, all right, this way I'm confused. Well, I'm not really confused, but I just want to say something. So, in option 1, I understand option 1. I understand the purpose of it to get the customer base up, keep the rates lower. But what happens to that project? That downtown project, Grace and Chestnut Street, is that Grace Chestnut? What happens to that project?
Well,
We would still do it as part of our normal finance fixed infrastructure improvement that we have as a program in our CIP. Because it is aging infrastructure. We do need to replace it, and there's an opportunity to partner with the city on that.
So it's not going to be a situation where if we don't respond quickly enough, then the city's going to pave the road, then we gotta go dig the road back up and fix the infrastructure, anything like that, right?
We would still partner with the city on that project to do what we need to do as part of our normal find and fix it program.
Is this changing the timeline on when that would happen, depending on this 10 million going towards that or not?
No, because the city is using ARPA money, I believe, for the, for their portion, so we're kind of working on the same schedule.
They are. Using our-
So we're on the same schedule, and it, this would not either accelerate or decelerate it one way or another.
Could you just walk me through how, if this $30 million were not going towards these recommendations, those two big projects, how would those projects normally be funded?
They would normally be funded through, in our CIP, through PAYGO funding, through our existing revenues. But we also have components that are, growth pays for growth, with developers doing some of it. The problem is that these projects are so large and so complex that it's very difficult for a single entity to do them. They are more geared towards the normal extensions and things like that. This is upgrading our existing system to receive flow from this very large area. And for the magnitude of the project, we feel we're best suited to take the lead on that.
So for the perception of our ratepayers and for the perception of the public, we're not taking on a job that would normally be required of the private sector. We're
Correct.
not, so this is more of an accounting decision. Can you explain it in terms that a regular person who's not involved in development would understand? Because my concern is, what percentage of our infrastructure is over 50 years old under the ground, would you say?
We are actually a fairly young system. I would, more than 50 years, I would say probably only in the 20-30% range.
Okay.
But what this is that we are more capacity constrained to support further growth to the north. Because the old urban services boundary line that used to exist has gone away. All this land is now available for developers to expand into. We need to upgrade the backbone of our system to receive the water, the wastewater, and provide water to those areas. If we don't do that, it's going to be very difficult to expand our customer base.
So this is a more efficient way to move forward.
Yeah.
If we're all working in unison and covering it.
Yes.
And the home buyers, the cost will eventually be passed on to the home buyers the way they already are.
They are.
If the developer or the private sector builds the infrastructure and then.
Correct. There's still infrastructure to be built by the developer themselves this is just providing like the backbone, the spine to receive all this. Everything that needs to be done in a subdivision, a developer will still have to build.
We're not laying it out there for free for them, that's
Right.
for sure.
Right. I just think it's important that we have this discussion so
I
that
hear you, Jessica.
when people are saying, wait a minute, what? The other thing I'm curious. So we say that expanding our customer base reduces the fixed costs, spreads them out over more people, but we're doing more work when we do that. So financial, from an accounting standpoint, aren't we adding to our own costs? I mean, the fixed rates aren't going to go down over time for our customers just because the numbers go up, or is that?
Right, but that incremental cost, yes, the total cost of the system goes up as it gets bigger, but there's a point when the incremental cost, when you start adding an additional customer and spreading those costs over additional customers, the cost for everyone goes down. So
there is a movement toward an economy of scale sort of thing. I think most people understand what an economy of scale is.
That's right.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're not doing a lot of hand waving around this. We're just being honest. So, good.
And we do have a lot of capacity in our plants that is been bought and paid for, that's being unused. And so adding more customers help pay for that capacity that we've already spent money on.
Just if I could put it in a more crude way, I think we're taking advantage of a moment in time where there's a lot of money coming in that we didn't have 2 years or 5 years ago, both the CFPUA and in this case, the county as well, and using that to kind of come together and jump our CIP, especially in the northern part of the county, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years? Carl?
These projects were planned for closer to 2035.
Got it.
It's a huge deal.
It's a great day for CFPUA.
It is for our entire county, Charlie, I agree. This has got huge potential impacts, positive impacts, to create those spines that we can then begin to help try to manage some of the growth in the northern part of the county. It's a great idea, and the county is fully on board. Respect what Ken said. We don't have the dollar amounts we're able to say out front, but it will be at least as much as what we're putting in at CFPUA. So, very cool.
But you know, it's not that I'm against option one. I'm just a city guy, and that's why I'm looking at Charlie, because I mean you've been on the city council for a long time, and I rely on your nod. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna remember that.
You know what I mean? Oh, no, I'm serious.
I know you
I'm
are.
serious.
I know you are.
And so it's not that I'm not looking at Carl, but I'm looking at you because you represent the people that live near me. You understand me? So then when I gotta go back downtown and answer those questions, then I'm gonna have to call you. You know what I mean?
Have them call me.
So that's my only point, guys, is that the people that live near me wanna know why they streets are flooded. And then why, you know, we putting money out in the county on Silver Road, that's not affecting anybody's flooding on Chestnut
Well,
Street.
one thing
and,
I have to do when I come in
and
here is I
Grace
have to put on that Cape Fear Public Utility Authority hat when I come in here, because we're not just city, we're the whole field that we use water and sewer.
I understand.
But I wouldn't for anything in the world sit here and raise my hand for a project that was gonna hurt Gray Street or Chestnut Street. And I've been given assurances, and I know that we've talked about the way that we coordinate with one another. Because there's nothing worse than to put new structure in and have to come and tear it out and do it over again.
That's what I'm talking about.
And when CFPUA was born, that was one of the primary tenets of the thing, is we work together to ensure that doesn't happen. And I'm comfortable and confident that and
Okay.
here again, we wouldn't even be able to do that up top for quite a while unless this gift came along from the state. And it frees up money for us to do other things in our CIP. One of which is the Chestnut and Gray Street rehab.
You have our commitment as staff, is that will be in the CIP. It will be one of the items that we recommended to fund, if not the top item to fund, to ensure equity in how we apply our overall funding mechanisms.
I'm gonna just say one more thing, because, you know, I watched Princess Place Drive get paved, and it was beautiful, you know, to watch the DOT go down and pave Princess Place Drive, but, I mean, right after they paved it, it started caving in, and so, you know, because it wasn't done properly, the project wasn't done properly, we should have fixed the infrastructure first before we paved the street. Now, you know, all that beautiful pavement is gone, there's a bunch of patches that the bus goes down every day, and it makes it worse, and people, you know, in that area, you know, keep complaining. And that's what I don't wanna see, you know, as much as I wanna see this, the whole county, the whole area thrive, I just don't wanna see another project like that where, we go in and pave the street, this beautiful paved street by schools and churches, and then the street started caving in, and then now we gotta, like, pulling teeth trying to get back to where we're supposed to be because we did the project wrong. That's my whole thing, but I'm in agreement with it.
Okay. Would you like a motion?
Yes,
I move that we approve option one, proceed with that.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We need to do a roll call. Is that necessary when we have people on?
Since we only have one and we can all see him, the roll call, the only person that needs to do the roll call would be Jonathan. And that's the only reason I didn't ask that you have him do it, because we could see him and he
Thumbs
but
up.
he gave his thumbs up, and we'll count that as a yes. That's when you're all doing the, on Zoom.
Right.
You,
Okay. Mr. Wall, yes.
Just as for our committee report, I be coming back with more, staff will be coming back with more information in the near future.
Absolutely. I was gonna ask if you'd like a verbal report at the table on that topic at this time, or would you like us to bring back a presentation at the next full board
I
meeting?
think a short verbal discussion would be good, if that's okay with you.
On the agenda. So, as you're well aware, in early November, we discovered a very serious leak on the Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Authority 48-inch line that serves not only CFPUA, but our partners in Pender County and 2 industrial customers. And on January 15th, that repair was essentially completed, and on the 20th, we were able to complete the testing of the approximately 200 feet of 48-inch line that was installed to repair what we discovered. And in essence, we discovered not just a point source failure, but a systemic series of failures along at least 5,000 feet of line in a total of 11 miles. So essentially, 1 mile out of 11, we discovered that that section of pipe had apparently been installed incorrectly, and it was more fragile than anticipated. This discovery, like any discovery associated with asset management and asset condition, will lead us to reconsider the prioritization of replacing or paralleling that 11-mile line, which is critical in terms of supplying raw water to our authority. So the takeaways are, we will work with our delegation, our new Hanover delegation, to the Lower Cape Fear Authority to try to prioritize and move up the prioritization list a parallel of that a lower 11-mile segment, which currently is not parallel. So there's no redundancy and resiliency. We're also working with the local, state, and federal delegations to see if there are outside funding opportunities to support that activity. And we'll be partnering with Pender County, Brunswick County, and the other customers of the Lower Cape Fear Authority to make our emergency water response plan and our emergency line repair planning more robust, taking lessons learned from this most recent break. We will provide more information at future meetings. Do you have any questions?
Ken, do we have a estimate number on the 11 miles? What it would take to parallel that?
We have a course estimate that we're looking to refine of somewhere between $45 and $60 million.
Is that the 11 miles or the 1 mile?
That's the 11 miles. We do not have a course estimate for just the 1 mile that we do want to move forward in the very near future with some type of parallel and replacement. And we hope to have more information after the next Lower Cape Fear Authority board meeting to bring back, and we'll put that in a weekly update as a weekly update item.
And Ken, just to make sure, none of this has anything to do with our previous conversation. $30 million from the states. These are totally separate. I mean, we're talking about a lot of different tranches of money. The two are completely different, and one's not being used for the other.
That's correct. The Lower Cape Fear Authority is a totally separate entity that serves 3 other utilities and 2 industrial customers. We will be working with that entity to find outside funding where possible and to secure inside funding among all customers to resolve this issue, as they would with any item on their capital improvement plan.
You can just put a point on the criticality of this. If any point in that 11-mile section were to break, what would it mean to CFPUA?
It depends on the time of year. We had significant challenges in addressing it in the lower water use times of year, and we will have even greater challenges addressing it in the summer months. We need to revise our regional local water supply plan, emergency water supply plan, to try to face those realities. It's safe to say that this is a critical piece of infrastructure for the entire region, requiring a regional solution, and we need to encourage the Lower Cape Fear Authority to move it up on their CIP accordingly. Fortunately, we have some fantastic representation on that board to help us work through those challenges.
The thing that caught my attention is that we have good information to say that a number, if not the entire length of 11 miles, has been compromised. And it's not a matter of when, it's just a matter of, not of if, it's just a matter of when we're going to see another major failure, which will have a dramatic effect on our ability to be able to deliver water, period, to our customers. And the fix will not be cheap, and it will take a long time. By a long time, in excess of 6 weeks to 6 months, depending on where it happens. This is sitting on top of a powder keg.
Yes. It is, as we discovered, more fragile than we anticipated. And like any asset management project, when we discover something new, we reshuffle those existing projects to bring this higher in the priority list so we can abate that risk. And we're going to work together to abate it.
And I'm sure Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Authority understands our deep concern with this, just in case somebody happens to be listening.
Well, they're right on board.
And that concludes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Sneed. All right, let's move on to Finance Committee. Ms. Adams?
All right, Finance Committee met last week, February 2nd. Those notes are in your packet. And we had a financial review with John.
Thank you. Good morning. Just very briefly, thank you, Donna. Just a look at the summary statement of revenues and expenditures. This is through December 31st. You can see that our total fund balance, unrestricted fund balance number is about $71.3 million. It's about $21 or so million higher than the $50 million target. We are, that's, kind of driven largely by this operating side right here, looking at, our revenues versus our expenditures on the operating side. That's really due to some outperformance on our water and our wastewater revenues, mainly the fixed charges. Due to some timing things from the switch to monthly billing, it's kind of like a one-time reshuffle and reset. And so really no need for concern there. We are projecting, surplus, and that'll go through the procedures and all that kind of stuff. But just wanted to point that out, and you can see on the next slide here just kind of how that's shaping up. This is through January 31st. So 7/12 through the year, 58.33%, and you can see how that's kind of shaken out. We generally like to look at the percentage of our actuals compared to our budget and kind of compare it to how far we are through the year, and you can see that water and wastewater revenues are both quite ahead of that 58.33% number. I do want to mention that it seems that at least through December, the ARPA funding, the LIWAP funding, ERAP program, and some of those others that, those sources of funding that have been there to assist our customers with their past due bills. We've started to see that metric that we track on the key indicators. That's the days charges outstanding, which is basically how long it takes for customers to pay their bills. We've seen that spike up or ramp up, pretty much coincided right with COVID, starting in February or March of 2020, and has continued to climb since that time. December 21 is the first month that's come down, and I think that's a testament to certainly the partnership with the city and the county that we were able to do, and it's really a testament to Christie's staff, who, despite monthly billing and a lot of changes internally, they've had to take on, kind of adding new work, new procedures in working out and applying and communicating with the city and the county and our other partners on how to apply that funding to those customers. So they've done a really great job on that. So we've seen that trend start to reverse. So that's a really good story there. And I think that's really it. Any questions on this piece right here with the water and the wastewater revenues? We kind of went in a little more detail in finance, but there's a couple of things, some timing stuff, some stuff that would have been billed last year that's in this year. You also have pretty much half of our customers, getting billed in June, or will get billed in June of this year, and they would have gotten billed in July or August under bi-monthly billing. And then you had some cycle reshift where you saw people who were billed on a bi-monthly basis early on in the month, and they're now late in the month. And so that's just, kind of added, I guess, the number of days that they're billed for the fixed charge. So it's really three things that have contributed to this kind of outperformance there. But again, at the end of the year, it'll be captured in that surplus number, and it'll be applied. We'll put it in a capital reserve. We'll pay off debt early, something that'll save the ratepayers money. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, and we have a customer service update from Christy in terms of where a lot of those programs that ended in January. So.
All right, I just wanted to give you a really quick update. We kind of went over the numbers a little bit in sustainability, but this is as of this morning. So again, the program, the CFPUA City County ARPA program ended at the end of January, and right now we have 593 accounts that are still in some state of consideration, right? They've either received a financial award or they're still being reviewed. So we have, of that 593, got about 120 that are still waiting on documentation from the actual customer. So no award consideration, has been given for those folks yet. But we did have just over 1,000 that were either deemed to be ineligible or that were duplicated applications. So ineligibility would mean that they had charges that fell outside of the program period. So they were not eligible for any sort of assistance. Again, 459 award amounts have been approved, and 390 of those had amounts that were either prior to or after the program period ended. And Mr. Zappa, you had asked about the number of those and kind of the status of those accounts. So I looked at that again this morning. So we have currently 347 with a balance, okay? So the delta between the 347 and the 390 means that they don't have a balance. They've basically paid off their charges. They don't have a current bill. We have 72 that have only current charges. So those charges are not late or not delinquent. 275 of those have charges that are over the 30-day limit, and 183 have balances that are over $100 and over 60 days aged, which means that under our normal cutoff procedures, they would be eligible for disconnection. And then finally, we have 5 that are in a pending status, meaning that they, pending DMP status, meaning they are eligible for disconnect. They've received a letter. And then we have 8 that are actually disconnected. So it kind of breaks down those numbers. I know that's a lot of numbers, but that just kind of gives you a status of those 390. Again, the award value to date is $318,000, with the median amount being around $408. And that percentage between city and county has stayed basically steady the entire time. So 76% of the applicants are actually City of Wilmington residents. This really hasn't changed too much with regard to the LEWAP program. 605 pledges have been received. We are actually getting the funds in for those now. The award value is right at 313,000 plus. Average amount is around $518. And this is just a breakdown of the other assistance programs. Again, LEWAP being the top runner in terms of the number of pledges and the value. And then just breaks it out by our other agencies and partners that we've been working with to try to help reduce some of our customers' outstanding balances. And that sum total right there adds up to right around $826,000, about 1,500 different pledges. And again, a pledge is just them, offering to pay those funds. Some of these funds we would have already received. Some of them may still be in the works. So with that, I will answer any questions you may have.
Chris?
Yes, sir.
Christie, 275,
Yes.
that you kind of boiled that stuff down to. Are they eligible for any of the LEWAP or ERAP or DSS? Are they eligible for any of those programs?
They might be. It just depends on their financial situation. So again, LEWAP, the first cut was basically, kind of an information sharing if they had a balance, but they were receiving other funds. Then they married up those accounts with their funds and sent those pledges to us right away. Whether or not that 275 was in there, it's a possibility that they were and that they did receive additional funding. But currently, even if they did receive a pledge, those pledges either haven't been recognized, so those balances are still outstanding, or they did not qualify from a financial standpoint. Now the 275, if they have a pledge on their account, they would not be disconnected. Okay, so that pledge would stop that disconnect from happening. But in terms of the value and the age of the charge, they would qualify. So I didn't look to see whether there was a disconnection, stop on the account as to whether or not they would actually be disconnected. But I can provide that to you if you'd like.
And so, Christie, who steers these people? Who gives them the information? To say, you don't work here, but you might work here, and here's how you get a pledge.
Sure. So, of course, on, social media, on our website, there's lots of information. But if they happen to call in, then we would also provide that information to them. If they have a balance, when they do receive ARPA funds, we will talk to them about that remaining balance and how they want to satisfy that. We give them the information for additional financial assistance programs. We also offer them the opportunity to set up a payment plan. So we're making multiple attempts to contact them, but we do, when they have a balance, we do contact them on what their options are for satisfying that outstanding balance.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Christie, the CFPUA funds, 14,000, what is that?
That's the CFPUA assist.
That's assist,
Mhm.
okay. The employees and.
It's,
No, that anybody can donate.
what is
Yeah.
Everybody, CFPUA assist,
the,
nonprofit CFPUA assist.
okay, that's not CFPUA funds.
Right, well,
It
this,
should,
this just came out of a long spreadsheet, so it was,
That's its nickname.
it's its nickname, right? Any additional questions?
With the things that CFPUA does, the tough jobs are repairing leaks in the middle of the night when it's cold, and I appreciate that. But probably the toughest job is where Christie and her people are. We're hearing more and more glowing reports. I hear them, and I don't always do the right thing and call Donna to get it out, but that starts at the top, and you're to be commended, because that's a tough job when you're dealing with an irate customer that's got a problem with their bill, and having somebody to have the patience and the talent to carry that through to a good ending. That's to be commended, Christie.
Must be near Valentine's Day.
If I'm not,
We're all lottery winners today.
Well, you're just full of flowery words today, aren't you, Larry?
if I might add a little bit of information, one is you saw that last slide shows all of the still existing programs that are available that Christie's very talented staff are trying to help connect people to. And then you may recall Lindsay Halleck had worked diligently to bring in a Medicare, Medicaid grant to waterways, which will lead to yet another program which will come online in the near future. So we continue to work to look for new grant resources to support our community while making these existing grant resources as available as possible. And I had the pleasure to work with Christy's team for a couple of days. Donna's had the pleasure of working with them. Very hardworking, talented team. Can't speak more highly about Christy's work and my special appreciation for all they do.
When I first came on this board, I spent a day like with each division, if you will. That was by far and above one of the more interesting. You're sitting there listening to what they're listening to. It's everybody should do that. Makes you appreciate them more.
Okay, next two items are, Candy, we wanted to bring these before the full board. The first one is the 8.6 construction agreement with TA Loving for the Motts Creek Pump Station upgrade. And then we've got a budget ordinance that goes along with this right afterwards. So.
Thank you. So the Motts Creek Pump Station is one of the authority's largest pump stations located along River Road in the southern portion of our service area. It conveys flow from the collection system basically from all of Monkey Junction southward down to all the way to Snow's Cut. So flow monitoring of the pump station and the collection system revealed the need to increase the capacity of the pump station. And this project will increase the capacity from 1.76 to 4.41 MGD. In December of 2020, the board authorized the project to be procured through the design build delivery method to expedite and compress the overall design and construction schedule. In May 21, TA Loving Company and Black & Veatch International were awarded a contract to prepare a preliminary design build agreement. This agreement included preparing a preliminary engineering report, designing the pump station improvements to a 60% completion level, preparing drawings that would be sufficient to develop the final construction agreement to build the station, which I'm bringing to you today, all permitting, environmental permitting, and to the 60% level. Those permits have been applied for at this time. Stantec Consulting was also contracted to assist with the project through providing construction administration assistance and reviewing this construction agreement that I'm bringing today. So the attached or the final design build agreement provides to complete the design of the pump station from 60% to 100%, and also includes constructing the station on the existing pump station site on River Road. This includes, of course, the engineering services by Black & Veatch, and Black & Veatch will also be providing inspection, construction observation, preparing record drawings, and overseeing the work of the contractor. And the contractor, of course, is TA Loving, who recently completed the Pump Station 10 project on One Tree Hill Way. And so we're very confident with their work and their knowledge of our preferences and how we work with the contractor. So Stantec also provided a letter, recommendation of approval to move forward with this design build construction agreement. And using this method for project delivery has allowed for an open book process, which allowed equipment and material vendor cost proposals and other units of work to be available to both us and the contractor. The equipment for the project has already been selected. The contractor is expected to mobilize by the end of the month and go ahead and get those purchase orders for the equipment in. And the cost that we use to confirm that the cost estimate for this project is reasonable were the Pump Station 10 project that was completed on One Tree Hill, Way and the Bernards Creek Pump Station project. So the funding for this project, we're experiencing a shortfall. The next item is a budget appropriation ordinance that John's going to present. So we're recommending approval of the $8,638,339 design build agreement with TA Loving Company, contingent on approval of the budget ordinance, which will be followed. Any questions?
Any questions for Frank?
Second.
But that's on the budget ordinance.
No,
No, this is just
this
the
is
project.
This
the project, and then we've got that on
Subject to
ordinance.
a
But,
budget
yeah.
ordinance being approved.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right.
So as Frank mentioned, inflation on the construction side is something that we're certainly feeling the effects of. And the budget ordinance that is before you is kind of that delta of what was originally budgeted for the project and what it's actually likely to kind of come in at. The funding source is PAYGO transfers, and so I guess the question is, what effect does that have on our finances? PAYGO funding, to the extent that in a year that we spend PAYGO funds on capital that exceeds the amount that we collect from ratepayers, which is currently at $18 million, that drives that fund balance number down. So that is kind of the single piece that really has negative pressure or downward pressure on that fund balance number. So what that means is, by doing this, our fund balance is going to be spent quicker. But I mean, this is something that we are constantly looking at in terms of modeling, effects on fund balance and debt service coverage and all of that kind of stuff. And certainly something that we're taking a critical look at now in the development of our 10-year CIP and the CIP that we're going to be asking for approval for FY23. So yeah, we are taking this budget ordinance and we're building that into the model. And so I just wanted to give you assurance that this is kind of globally our capital program. We're looking at these kinds of pressures, looking at these kinds of things, and we are factoring those into our planning process. To make sure that we're funding the things in the CIP that we need to do. So, are there any questions on the budget ordinance?
John, would you remind everybody what total unrestricted fund balance is right now?
It's around $71.3 million.
And our target
is $50 million.
So you may recall that we'd shared in earlier meetings that there would be some downward pressure. As board members noted that we were holding more fund balance than we had in our target. So this is the beginning of that downward pressure.
I moved aye.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
That's it for finance, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. So we will move on to Sustainability Committee. Dr. Cannon.
Yep, the minutes from our meeting on January 27th are in your packet. We talked, we're sort of doubling down on our efforts to try and use that excess methane at north side. Matt Hurrihan gave us a great presentation on sort of the cost benefits they're looking at to figure out how to use that, which is kind of cool. We also met Kat Holman, who's going to be the new sustainability director, and I don't think she's coming on board until March or so. But she popped in and said hello, so we're excited to bring her aboard. She's coming from UNCW. She's the sustainability director there. So,
Great.
Good news.
What's the action item?
I'm afraid that we may have an error there.
Okay.
We probably brought that forward in case that there was a desire to see a summary of that presentation, but we didn't hear a desire. So that's an error on the agenda. Our apologies.
Okay. I just want to be sure we didn't miss something.
Yes.
All right, any old business? Okay, so we do have to go into closed session.
Yes, to discuss an economic matter relating to the location of business.
So motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll take a little break while the cameras go off.
Cohort's gonna be.
I didn't
I
get
was
the
getting ready
end
to
of that
make that
related
announcement, but
to,
I'll do it when we get down to closing comments.
Oh, so
Ron, I sat
Look what
in on
I'm
customer
sorry.
service one day this week for an hour or so.
There was a little slow
One of
on
the
that
ladies
stuff. Lit a
and,
fire under the other night. I said, I need a.
Come on, you need a
windmill.
windmill.
I won't
lady's
lose.
worked with us about 2 years. She's very gracious and
Kevin O'Grady.
Kevin helped, should say.
Luke is.
Call 211. I think that's like the